I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, September the 2nd, brought to you in part by Noramycin by Norbrook. Noramycin 300 LA is your go-to antibiotic for a broad spectrum of cattle diseases and infections. It's a must-have in your vet shack, in your pickup, or your saddlebag or four-wheeler, depending on what kind of cowboy you are. For more information, go to norbrook.com. It is crunch time for the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. I've been talking about this for the last couple of years or more, 2.5 years. I've been talking about the problem we've had with the lack of negotiated trade since the first time that I started talking on these type videos. But it's all coming to a head right now. And I know some of you guys are tired of hearing me talk about it. You're going to have to hear me talk about it for maybe a month longer, and then we're either going to get it or we're not. It's got to happen this month in September here. After that, there'll be no more chance for it. We've had our best chance right now. We're coming in here. It's crunch time. We got to do something. I wish that there was a little more fanfare to come along with it, but like I thought might happen, our cattle markets have been getting up there a little bit. People aren't whining quite so bad. Things like that are going on, and we've lost interest. Our biggest ambassador for this bill is Chuck Grassley. He's busy trying to prosecute Hunter Biden for things that he's done on video, which are plain as the nose on your face, but he's been covered up with that. I think he was going to come back and try to get this deal done. He's been quoted as saying that he's not going to give up. He's going to keep fighting this until he gets it done. But we've got to get something done here. I've told you guys before, that's what happened to the hogs, is whenever we got no price transparency, no price discovery, and on your hogs, your packers got to where they didn't have to put out a cash live price every day. And I mean, it was just a fast downhill there to complete vertical integration. You don't see any independent hog feeders to speak of, unless they're in some kind of real small niche market or they're raising show pigs. They completely took that industry away from animal agriculture. They're working on the cattle, guys. If we don't know what something's worth, how do we sell it? If we don't know the price of something. Now, Texas A&M's done the research, and they said by 2026 we will have net zero negotiated trade in Texas. So we don't know what the price of a fat steer is in Texas. So what will they bring? It's whatever your packers tell you, whatever they decide that they want to give. And the Texas guys think, no, we'll go up and grab on the coattails of the 5 area of the Northern Plains. Northern Plains coattails aren't going to be there when you have zero negotiated trade. They're not going to let you go up there and get a hold of that. We've been running $5 to $10 premiums in the Northern Plains. You guys don't get that. Kansas will be right behind, or probably Colorado will be right behind Texas, then Kansas, and then Nebraska, and then finally Iowa is how we'll do that. If we don't stop the bleeding at some point, and that's all this does, is that it will force your packers to purchase a minimum percentage of their weak skill in a negotiated manner. No more than what they've been doing for the last couple of years initially. Then the USDA Secretary of Agriculture will look at research and decide where to go from there higher. But it will just stop the bleeding. And if we don't get this bleeding stopped, we're done for. But we got to get it done before the midterm elections. We've got to get it done. We've been holding up the reauthorization of mandatory price reporting for just this. So you don't think it's just going to go by and we're not going to hear anything about it, because they absolutely have to reauthorize mandatory price reporting. Perhaps we could get this bill attached to that, which would be a good way to get it pushed through. But they have to get that. And frankly, if we don't get the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, I don't know why we should reauthorize mandatory price reporting. Mandatory price reporting has been better for the packers than it's been for the producers. And if your packers won't even participate at a minimum level in that reporting, why should they get to use that to settle all their formula sweetheart deals? I don't believe we should. I think that's proprietary information. If they're not going to participate at a minimum level, I don't think they should get to do that. And and everybody said, well, you're telling us how to sell our cattle. Nope. We're just saying that if you are going to use this publicly traded information, that's the thing that's mandated, is the reporting of that information. You get to use that reported information, and you're not even participating in it at a very minimal level, but you're going to use that to settle all these contracts that you've written? I don't see how that's fair at all. But we've got to get that deal done. I plead with you to raise it up with your representative, with your senator. We've got to get that deal done. There's still people out there that think that we're going to get it done no problem. Some people think that we don't have a chance, including NCBA, Texas Cattle Feeders Association, and KLA, because they have been fighting this a lot harder than the Feeder Flash Gang members and U.S. Cattlemen's Association and Nebraska Cattlemen's Association and Iowa Cattlemen's Association, Missouri Cattlemen's Association have been fighting for it. Because they like this monopolized industry that we're in. They think it's set up for them for the long haul. They don't care about small producers. They definitely don't care about small cattle feeders or people that like to retain ownership and feed cattle and sell them to the highest bidder. We've seen what the Southern Plains has been doing here for the last many weeks, running dollars and dollars behind the Northern Plains that still sells their cattle. But we've got to get this deal done. I'm going to keep you guys up to date on what happens this month. But I promise you, after this month, I won't burden you guys with it near as much. Let's talk about your board on Thursday. October live cattle futures up 22 cents at 142.80. December up a dime at 148.57. Back months on live cattle down 17 to up 65, so just kind of mixed. And your live cattle pits have been fairly quiet here for quite a while. September feeder cattle were up 70 cents. Thought they might be up more. Corn really took a downturn late in the week, but September feeder cattle up 70 cents at 183.15. October up 87 cents at 184.35. Back months on feeder cattle up 115 to up 137. Your fat cattle trade, we didn't see much trade because what your packers did here this first week is they just pulled contracts and pulled captive supply cattle so that they didn't have to get in and try to buy cattle. Just let your negotiated sellers sit, those that wouldn't take less money. That's what they do. They're masters at it. And yet we still continue to let them get all their needs filled, mostly through captive supplies. And that's what they're pulling here first of this week. They know as we get into the fall that our numbers of market-ready cattle are going to be so light that they're going to end up having to pay more for cattle, but they're going to put it off as long as they can. And you really can't blame them. Box beef cutout values have been going down a lot more than they've been going up, and they've hit a real soft spot there. But Iowa just had 800 head of confirmed sales on Thursday, only 13,600 head for the week. They usually get 28 or 30, and I don't expect much here on Friday before Labor Day weekend. But live sales in Iowa running from 143.5 to 145. Like I told you yesterday, those are like $1 to $3 lower. Dress trade at 228 only in Iowa on Thursday. Nebraska had 4,100 head of negotiated sales reported on Thursday. Just over 26,000 for them, which is getting close to normal, but still kind of weak for them. Live sales on Thursday from 142 to 145. Dress sales from 226 to 224, and they're sure $2 to $4 lower than last week. Kansas only 1,600 on Thursday and only 6,200 head for the week. 141 is the price. That's $1 lower, but it's less lower than the Northern Plains. So like I mentioned on our last video, we are closing the gap on that premium that the Northern Plains has been getting. Thought was interested. only 6,200 head of pure negotiated cash sales reported so far this week in Kansas. Negotiated grid, which there's no negotiating, it's just I'll get you a kill slot, 16,500 head. Wow. Texas, just 200 head on Thursday, 8,100 head, and they did sell several there Wednesday evening in Texas, but 8,100 head, which is still light for them, but it's closer to normal than what Kansas is sitting, and all at 141. Box beef cutout values, like I mentioned, were lower, not as much lower as they were middle of the week, but choice cuts 258.07, down 27. Selects down 115 at 236.59. Your slaughter, they ramped it up a little bit more here later in the week, 498,000, just 1,000 less than the big week that we had last week, and 24,000 more than the same week a year ago. Actual slaughter information come in, it's 2 weeks late. One thing that Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act would do is speed that up. Why do we have to wait 2 weeks? We could have it the next day. But actual slaughter information, 2 weeks old, 904 pounds for your actual or average dressed steer carcass weight. That is 3 pounds bigger than last week, which was the second highest in history. My goodness, guys, these cattle are getting huge. And you think, well, they're counting the cows. No, that's just the steers, guys. That's just the average of the steers, and they're not grading very well. They're grading a whole lot less than the 5-year average, a whole lot less than 2 years ago when we were coming out of the COVID, less than last year, just not grading all that well, and although they're ginormous. Well, corn's high. Not pumping as much of it to them. Nutritionists have been backing off on the corn, and we see it in the grading, yet they're just as heavier or a lot heavier than normal. And once again, as we've seen several times here over the last several weeks, and we had never seen it before since the mid-'80s, they're killing more does than they are bucks. The female slaughter is bigger than the male slaughter. Talk about what else is going on. This is the last feeder flash till after Labor Day, so I'm not going to be doing one for Monday. Going to take a rare day off here. Going to Ruidoso to watch some drag racing, cowboy style. Hope to see a few of you down there. But in Russell, Iowa, at Russell Livestock Auction, they're having their big Labor Day barbecue special. And you guys don't want to miss that. They're going to sell weigh-ups and stuff at 9, but starting the feeder cattle at 11 o'clock a.m., 2,500 of the fanciest new crop calves you've ever seen in your life, 5,000 head of yearlings. Quality will be as good as you can find anywhere right there in southern Iowa, guys. Outstanding quality. You can view and bid it all on dvauction.com. That's where you go to watch this sale, dvauction.com. You guys know the drill. Get a hold of them there. Tell them you might be interested in bidding on some of the cattle. They'll approve you, and you can sit there and watch that tremendous sale right there. Or better yet, go down. Who said there's no free lunch? Get you a free steak sandwich there. I'm sure that the Amish and Mennonite community will be there to get their free lunch and watch the sale. Talk to Justin Murphy. He's excited about this sale, one of the biggest that they've had, and he told me the quality will absolutely be second to none. Talk about your feeder cattle market for Thursday, ending Thursday. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Thursday sitting at 179.81, fell under $1.80 here for the first time in a while, down 21 cents. But look at this information that came from Cattle Market Central now. One of my co-workers pulled this. It's the difference between 2021 from the beginning of the year up till now compared to 2022. It's all your feeder cattle that went through Cattle Market Central's database right there. Over 1.7 million of them, both last year and this year, so pretty consistent reporting on that third-party automated system. And you see that the cattle are just flat $20 a hundred higher this year than they were last year as an aggregate over the whole year so far, and putting all your weights together. I thought that was interesting information I would just share with you. Let's talk about your big sales on Thursday. Winter livestock in Pratt, Kansas, $2 to $7 lower. That's not a shocker. All your markets have been pretty much lower this week, but still some stick out sales. And look at this one from Pratt. 56 head of steers weighed 949 at 184.60. 150 pounds over your index level and $5 higher. Wow. Talk about farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas, straight north of Pratt there. 3,000 head there, mostly steady to $5 lower. But man, look at a stick out sale of heifers that they had in Salina. They called them fancy. 58 heifers weighed 853 at 177.50. Wow, big heifer quote right there. How about some individual quotes from all around the circuit? How about Burlington Livestock Exchange in Burlington, Colorado? 75 head, 432 pound peewee steers, but you got to give $2.44 a pound for them. Outstanding quote there in Burlington, Colorado, and they'll have wheat in that country and they'll be buying them for that. I'm going to give you a quote here that might entice you a little bit to look outside the box. How about Wilcox Livestock Auction in Wilcox, Arizona? Really good people down there. I've been to that sale before. It's in southeastern Arizona, right on the New Mexico line there, guys. You can hit an interstate right there, and those cattle will be to you before you know it. But they got good cattle there. They've got some elevation there, and the cattle are really good. I mean, better than what you would think. 64 head of steers, blacks and black baldies, weighed 515 at $192. Sure, not making fun. I'm just saying, guys, you need to pay attention. Look around a little bit, especially you guys that are looking for wheat cattle. Those cattle would be hard as rocks. And you get those cattle in, wouldn't have much trouble at all. They'd think they died and went to heaven whenever they got to your place. Sure be worth the money. How about Paris Stockyards in Paris, Kentucky? They can sell them high over there. 58 steers weighed 977 at 168.50. Standing in the ring in Paris, Kentucky. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Stockman's Livestock Exchange, Dickinson, North Dakota. The East Barn sells 60 head, 1,021 pound steers at $178. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.